Hey guys, welcome to the My Camp podcast. I am your host, Courtney Ortiz, and you guys are joining me live here today in the Girls HC. And I'm really excited to introduce my new camp friend, Timothy Allen Graf, the director of Blue Mountain Ranch Camp out in Colorado. Welcome to my camp, Timothy. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So I love to start with a really good camp origin story. And I know you have a really good camp origin story. So what's your story?
Yeah. So my grandparents on my mom's side, my grandfather, Bill, was a high school football coach. And my grandma was more of a stay-at-home mom, but they always kind of shared this idea of opening a summer camp together. My grandfather was a little ahead of his time. He was kind of also looking for a place to do summer workouts for his kids that wasn't in Texas. So they actually looked around. They looked at camps in Texas, different properties in Texas, I guess I should say. And they had to take torches at night to get like the scorpions and tarantulas off the buildings. And my grandma was like, no,
Yeah.
thank you. So then they found this area in New Mexico. And they got there and there just wasn't like any open space. It was in the mountains. From what I hear, it was a gorgeous area. There just wasn't open space. And so in 1946, they got a call from, I believe my grandmother had an uncle who was a doctor in Colorado Springs. And he goes, I've got this spot for you. I think it'll be perfect for a summer camp. So my grandparents came out. He took them up. He took them down 11-mile canyon, which is just, about a mile away from our campus. He drove them through 11-mile canyon, then brought them back in, and they drove through the gate. And the property was an old potato farm, so there was a giant open field. It's in this little valley, and my grandparents just fell in love with that location at that time. And so that first summer, my grandfather brought up his coaches and his football players, and they built the very first cabin that we named Beaver Lodge on the campus. And so it's still there. We're in the process of trying to fix that up a little bit, because we haven't used it in several years. But, that was kind of that first summer. There was one homestead building that the farmer lived in, and that's where everybody stayed while they built that first cabin, Beaver Lodge.
Wow. How many campers did you have on that first summer in 19?
I believe that first summer, that first summer, it was about 15 or 20 people.
Wow. So how long did your grandparents run the camp for?
They ran it from 40. They ran from, they founded it in 46, first summer 47. They were a part of it until they passed away. So my grandfather passed away in 98, and my grandma in 2004. So
and they were actively involved in the running of the camp even up until that time?
Yeah, so like mid 90s, my mom and dad really started helping out a whole lot. So my parents were taking over more responsibilities, but my grandparents were involved, up until they passed away. So, it was their baby, it was their love. And so, they were a part of it until they couldn't be anymore.
How many children did they have growing up at camp?
So my grandparents, my aunt and my mom both grew up at camp. Okay. And then my aunt had I have two cousins from her, and they grew up at camp for a little while, and then she went on to do her own thing. And then my brother and I grew up at camp. My brother has 3 kids. Oldest will be 11 this summer. They're getting to grow up at camp this summer or every summer. And then I have a 2.5-year-old who will be at camp again. And then my wife and I are expecting our second baby here beginning of April. So there'll be a little baby at camp this summer.
Oh, congratulations. I know, I work at a summer camp too, and it's just there's just something so endearing when you see the little ones, the family kids, the staff kids that are there, running around camp, and like camp is their backyard. And so, wow. So camp was your backyard. Did you ever want to do anything else where you're going, nah, I don't want to go into the family business?
I guess really growing up, there was like a point when I was probably about like 7 years old where I didn't really understand why every summer all these people came to my house.
Right. That's, people come to my house. Right.
So I was a little like, I guess that was probably that one summer was the one summer where I was like, I don't like this. And then After that, I loved my childhood. I loved how it exposed me to people from different backgrounds, different parts of the country, different parts of the world. Got to hang out with people that I probably would have never hung out with if I didn't go to summer camp. Not that I went, but being there, so cherishing all those memories and everything. I'm really excited to share that with my children. And I'm excited to share it with everybody's children because summer camp is just so important.
100%. I had a question right on the front of my mind and I lost my train of thought. So tell me a little bit about or not a little bit, tell me everything. Tell me about the programs that Blue Mountain Ranch Camp has to offer their campers.
Okay, so what we do is we let our campers, we offer 5 activities during the day. We're a residential camp. So our campers sign up for their own activities. We offer anywhere from, 5, depending on the number of campers, we offer anywhere from 5 to about 8 activities every hour. So the first night of camp, the campers come in, we do our little orientation and all that. And depending on how time goes, it's either right before dinner or right after dinner, they'll get an opportunity to sign up for their schedule. We have archery, we have a natural rock wall that we do rock climbing and rappelling on. Obviously, we have an athletic field, kind of going back to the football camp my grandpa started. We play a little bit of everything down there. We have a small private pond where we do fishing, and then in the afternoon we do canoeing, kayaking, and stand-up paddle boards. We have our own ropes course, which we added 3 new elements to last summer. Hiking is really big for us. Our horseback is huge. People love coming and riding horses. We have our own tennis courts. And then occasionally we get a counselor. When I was growing up, we had a counselor who was a naturalist, and he ran a nature class. So we are small enough that we can kind of adapt. We have like our set in stone activities, but if we have a counselor come in that, feels like they can share their expertise in a certain area, we can adapt to include that as an activity as well.
Oh, 100%, because your counselors add, so much value and can bring so much to your program. How many campers do you have at one time?
It kind of varies. It depends. Throughout the summer, it kind of fluctuates. Our first session is 2 weeks, and we're about that 70 to 75 mark in that with that session. Our second session, which is about 3 weeks, is our smallest, and that's about 50 to 60 kids. And then our third session has been our biggest for the last 5-6 years, and that's right around 90 to 100 campers.
That's still very very intimate when you compare it to some of these other sleepaway programs that have 300, 400, 500 kids staying through the summer. So having a group of 50 tends to be a real very intimate group of campers. Do you have some that sit on your website? It says, can you go 1 week all the way up to the 7-8 weeks? Can you go for 1 week? How does it work?
Yeah. So we say stay a week or stay all summer. There's a lot of families out there that book their entire summer, and then they only have a week. Again, us being a smaller privately owned summer camp, we have that flexibility to try to accommodate to those parents' needs that are only there for a week. And then we have kids who will come for 1 session. We have kids who will come for 2 sessions. And then the last several years, it hasn't quite been as popular, but throughout the 90s and early 2000s, the staying all summer was real popular with families. But again, I think that kind of goes into what everybody has going on in the summer. It feels like everybody's a lot more busy than they used to be. So
yeah, I'm seeing that as being like as I'm talking to camps, like a recurring theme as the kids get older. They want to be able to do other things. And so being able to be flexible, it still allows them to have that camp experience 4 or 5 weeks and still go and do like the soccer camp or, the family trip or whatever it is that they want to do. So for 75 years, is it 75 or 76? How many years?
This will be our 77th summer.
77th summer. So you have 77 years of long-standing historic traditions. What are some of your favorite traditions at camp?
Well, one of my favorite is we're non-denominational, and we respect all faiths, but on Sunday night we do our chapel under the stars. It's this area where we just kind of all come together. It's the one time in the week where everybody's kind of quiet and we just listen to each other. I've always enjoyed that. When growing up, I loved hearing my grandfather speak and share his wisdom. Same can be said with my grandma. This has been my mom's life as well. So she gets up and speaks still. My dad, who coached, he coached track and field at the high school and collegiate level, gets up and shares his wisdom. It's really neat to kind of hear their thoughts, and it's just it's a special moment at camp. And then myself and my brother will speak. We'll occasionally have a staff member speak as well. If someone plays music, they'll get up and play their music. And then after, we have everybody who I guess signed up to speak, we kind of open it up to everybody. And some of the most profound things I've ever heard have come from, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds who get up to want to share something, whether they had a hard year and camp has really brought them out of their shell, or, they just wanted to share some kind of story. So they feel, we call it the BMR spirit, and that's what you are experiencing, I guess, when you're in our chapel. And to hear those kids, have the confidence once to get up and speak, in front of everybody and be vulnerable. It's just a real special moment, I think.
I think that says a lot about the program that you provide there, that gives kids, it's, when you have a group of 50 kids up to 100, it's still small, it's still intimate, feels like family, that it gives them that confidence to get up in front of their peers and their friends to be able to say that. And your the experience that you're providing for them at camp is giving them that motivation and inspiration to speak, because it is just so great and so wonderful. So everybody, really, one of the topics at camp is like the food. What's the food like at camp? What are some of the faves?
Some of the favorites. So we've been lucky. Obviously, we've paid our dues. Everybody's had camp food, and you pay your dues. So we finally, one summer, we lucked out and we actually hired like a chef who was between jobs, and we were like, camp food can be like this.
Yeah.
So since then, we've hired people with like professional cooking experience. Our current cook, Roger Dillard, he's actually a teacher in San Antonio, and so he takes his summers off. He has his summers off. He brings his 3 kids up to camp. The kids get to go to camp, and he cooks for us. So some of the best things, he does a really good, every Tuesday we do Taco Tuesday. He does a great job. Yeah, he does a great job with that. He's really solid. He makes a really good chicken curry. Which is not something I'd had at summer camp before he came in. And then we always do fried chicken, some sort of fried chicken on Sunday, and those are really big. But I mean, he doesn't miss very often, and he's us being a smaller camp, he has an opportunity. He cooks the meals. He has an opportunity to walk around, and if a kid's not eating, kind of find something that kid will eat, to kind of help them, because we don't want any child being hungry when they leaving the dining room. So that flexibility of being smaller really helps him, help out with those other kids who need it. And on occasion, he'll bring kids in to help him kind of prepare things if we're doing something and he needs help. He makes his own egg rolls that are really good, so he'll have kids come in and help him roll them. So,
I think that even for you is a selling point, to be able to know that that you guys are able to give such personal attention and know who your campers are, that even the chef comes out and is able to like get to know who your campers are and see what they like and don't like. It's like at the restaurant when the chef comes out and, how are you doing? Everything's great. Yeah. And really kind of getting a feel for his audience. Oh, and his kids go there. So he's got skin in the game. Okay. He can't have the campers going back and the kids saying, your dad's food sucks. So like, he's got
his wife was a camper back in the late 80s, early 90s. And when their oldest was old enough to camp, they brought him up for the summer, and Roger just fell in love with the place. It took him, he's been cooking for us for about the last 6 years or so. So, his oldest had been coming to camp for a few years before he came in, but he does a great job.
Oh my God, that is so awesome. So how are you doing? Where the countdown is on for the start of camp. So how are you guys doing with your staff hiring?
Staff hiring, yeah, we're in a better spot than we normally are this time of year. Yeah, it's working with this next generation can be a little challenging because they struggle with commitment, whether that be committing to come to camp or getting there and committing to stay the entire length.
Right.
My thought is if you can get them to camp, you can keep them there because they'll fall in love with it. They'll make those relationships with people. Right now, all our staff, I have interviewed, I'm in the interview process with a couple of new people who've never been to Blue Mountain before. But currently all our staff that I've hired have either been campers at camp or returning staff as well. So they already know the kids, they know what we're doing, and it kind of helps us create that family atmosphere as well.
And I feel like I say this in every show. Nobody works harder than an ex-camper. Someone who knows camp, sees camp, lives it. They just work so hard. So hats off to the former campers that are still back doing their time in the summer. Do you have a lot of internationals? We always love our international staff.
We actually have a couple that are interested right now from Mexico. Both of them were former campers. In the past, we've had campers and counselors from Sweden and France. We've even had back in the 90s, we had a small family coming in from Russia. We bring in we're a smaller camp as you understand. We bring in international kids here and there, and staff as well. A lot of our international kids come from the Mexico area because we just had a good relationship with we had an agency down there that was helping us get kids for a long time, and so now those kids have kids, they've grown up, they're adults, they have kids, so now they're sending theirs. So we do our best to get as many international people as possible, but I guess being smaller kind of makes that a little more difficult for us.
What are you most excited about for this upcoming summer?
Oh man, that's a great question. I guess I'm excited. Last year, my daughter, who's gonna be 2.5 now, she learned to walk in the dining hall. I'm excited to share camp with her. Take her around activities. She's running around. She likes to play with other kids. So I'm most excited about start to share some of those camp activities and experiences with her.
So I remember that question that I forgot, like way back in the beginning, when you were talking about like kids were coming, all these people were coming to my house. So you live at camp and even now at this facility 365?
No, this time of year. So my wife and I, we live in Colorado Springs in the wintertime.
Okay.
She works for USA Swimming. And she's actually from North Carolina. So if it snows, I'd rather her have to drive a mile instead of, the 35 miles west. Okay. So we typically move up there about Memorial Day and back down to the Springs about Labor Day. And we're up there. But growing up, I was up there. That's where we lived until about my brother got into high school. And the next closest town where we ended up going to high school was Woodland Park. So we had a house in Woodland Park for our high school years, just to prevent that commute. But yeah, so Dorothy comes to work with me. Her name's Dorothy. She comes to work with me a couple days a week in the wintertime. And then obviously she's around all the time during the summer. So.
Wow. Well, Tim, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today in the Girls HC to learn more about Blue Mountain Ranch Camp. If someone wants to learn more about Blue Mountain Ranch Camp, where can they find that info?
Yeah, they can go to our website, just www.bluemountainranch.com. Has all our information on there. You can also call us in the office at 719-748-3279. Best way to get a hold of us is our emails are on the website as well. But the best way to get a hold of us is just to reach out and we have Verizon One Talk, so even if we're not in the office, we can get a hold of you. You can get a hold of us, I guess I should say.
Amazing. We'll make sure and put all that information in the show notes. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today for the My Camp podcast. If you want to hear more about my camp or lots of other camps, you can listen to more where you listen to podcasts on Apple Music. Happy Camper Live has an amazing YouTube channel. Check it out. And I'll see you here next time. I'll save us more for you.
Take a moment to shine.